Welcome to Post Game Podcast. I'm your host, June. I got my boy B Foster with me, and it is going to be a good day, Foster, because you know what? We said we was going to start at 12:15, and bam, 12:15. It's maturity. That's all it is. It's maturity. Anyway, before we get into this show, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube, and also for your audio fix, follow us on all the aggregators. That's platforms like Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts. Make sure you put in Post Game Podcast in your search, and then make sure that notification bell on, so when we do a show or we drop content, you'll get an alert. Download those episodes. Boss, we are at the All-Star break, and I remember this time last year, we just wanted it to be over.
Yeah.
Like that we didn't have any players in the All-Star game. I think Cade was in I think Ivy was in a challenge or something like that. It might have been, it was a young
talent or
young talent challenge.
whatever.
I think Ivy might have been in there. I think Oscar Thompson was out for the year by then.
Was he out by that point? He might have been.
I don't know. But it was not a good time for Pistons basketball this time last year. And we just wanted the season to be over. It was like, it's a wrap. We have nothing to play for. We were projected to have the worst season in Pistons history. Could have been, and very close to having one of the worst seasons in NBA history with that one last year. But this year, let me tell you how good this year has been in comparison, right? We've more than doubled the win total. We're at 29 wins. We're projected to win at least 14 more games, which would put us at 43 wins for the season with a 43-39 record. That's just projected. We still got to get there. But with 27 games left, I would hope we'd win at least 14 of them, right? That would be the goal. And the way they're playing is very feasible. And then on top of that, you got Cade as an all-star. You got a trade by the deadline that made sense without giving up anybody. You also have only one significant injury, and it seems since the injury, the players have stepped up, and we found a hidden gem in Malik Beasley. This first 55 games of the season have been night and day in comparison. So I want to ask you this, Foster. What is your favorite part about this season? What makes you happy the most when we talk about Detroit Pistons basketball this season?
I love the effect that the veterans, actually active veterans, I love the impact that they've created, that they've brought to our team. I think what I like the most is just the chemistry. I feel like it's something that Dennis Schroeder has already talked about, and just kind of, he understands and feels that this team, holds each other accountable, has everybody has each other's back. And I feel like the chemistry and camaraderie goes a long way in basketball, beyond the X's and O's and beyond the talents. I feel like when the team is one cohesive unit, as Ron Holland would describe it, an AAU team. It just goes to show that when you compile the right kind of players and everybody has buy-in, the results will, results will be there, because I think the team always had some talent, but for whatever reason, we just weren't as together as we are now.
Yeah, and I contributed a lot to, we did have a roster overhaul. We kept the nucleus, the young nucleus. I want to say that. You
Yeah.
kept Cade, you kept Isaiah Stewart, you kept Duran, you kept Ivy, but there was a lot of moving parts in and out as far as the roster. And new coach, new coach. And me and Foster said at the end of the season, at some point, you got to look at coaching because this team was talented last year. It wasn't 14-68 bad last year. Wasn't that bad. Couldn't have been that bad. And this year, they're looking, it's night and day. Now, granted, there has been a lot of the roster overhaul and things are different each year and out, in and out, but we knew Cade could be what he could do what he's doing now. We knew, and this is a lot of this stuff is happening without Ivy. We had Ivy last year. So a lot of this, and and then there was the fiasco at the beginning of the season with Ivy. He wasn't playing much. He wasn't starting. I mean, I think there was a situation where I think the owner had to step in and say, "Hey, play Ivy," and something.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it was like, when the owner has to, when the owner has to say that, it's not good. It's not good. And you could see the energy, you could see the leadership, you can see the I mean, granted, when you're winning, you're going to celebrate and you're going to see a different energy when you're winning and when you're playing good basketball. But it just looks the aura of the team looks different. You know what I'm saying? And I just knew somebody was going to get moved. I just knew one of the people that I didn't want to get moved was going to get moved at some point this season. Me and Foster talked about this before the season, in the offseason. What do you do with Ivy? Who's tradable? We had a list of people who were untouchable, and the list was bigger in the offseason. During the season, that list started to shrink. No, you can't get rid of Ivy. You can't get rid of Stewart. You can't get rid of Duran. We was ready to ship Duran out of here last year. See what we can get.
This year, for me.
But I kept saying, no, keep the young fella. I mean, you can see the confidence. He's gaining confidence, that young man Duran. And I think all he's missing is his footwork when it comes to blocking shots. That's got to be the reason. I haven't paid attention to his footwork, but I'm saying he's too athletic, too tall with long arms to be missing as many block shots.
I think it's his timing, honestly.
It could be the timing. It could be.
Because you see him give max effort on the blocks, and I'm talking about on point guards, and he's still a
That's the thing. It's not centers. These are guards that's scoring over. That doesn't happen with Embiid. That doesn't happen with Jokic. Guards aren't scoring over Jokic. He's not jumping out of the gym.
And the thing about Stewart is, yes, he has a crazy wingspan. So does Duran, but he doesn't jump. He doesn't jump very high. He's not that tall, but you see him. It's to the point to where at least once a game, somebody will try to dunk on him, and he'll meet them right at the apex, and he's so strong that if he gets a hand on it, you're not pushing through. It's over at that point. Yeah. He does that about once a game at this point. And these are dunk attempts. Like, do you know how hard it is to not foul somebody? Because they tell you, if you have the ability to dunk it, if you attempt the dunk, more than likely they're going to give you the foul. These blocks are so clean, they can't call foul.
They can't. And it's like, and he's doing such a good job. Even if they call a foul, if they got a challenge, they're going to challenge it. And get
JB is not JB challenges. I remember
JB was up 40 the other night in challenge.
I was gonna say the Bulls game. We're up 30 plus points. Maybe it was 40 at that point. And Vucevic was like, really? You're gonna challenge him, and you're beating the dogs out of us.
You gonna call it right.
Yeah,
I
he
don't
be he be
care.
on them he be on them refs head.
That's one of the difference between him and Monty. Monty just sit back with his arms folded and be like, "Oh yeah, okay, ref, that's not a good call, but it is what it is." JB is going off. You know what I'm saying? JB is not having it. You are not going to cheat this team or call a bad call versus his team at all. And and it's just a different energy, man. To be 29 and 26. And I know people are saying, you're only 29, 26. You're sixth game in the East. You're sixth in the East. Man, I don't care. The East is loaded at the first five.
The top,
There
yeah.
are good teams. They're very good teams to be at the first five. And to be number six, I welcome that. I welcome that. If the playoffs started today, we're playing the Knicks, and I like our chances. I like our chances versus the Knicks. I mean, they're good, but they're not that much better than we are. They're not, at a level that they're way above us. It's some teams that we still have to prove ourselves versus that being Indiana and Milwaukee. We haven't beaten Milwaukee this year. Indiana has had the best of us this year, but we got a lot to prove to those two. But we've shown we can beat the Knicks. We beat them twice in New York this year. Am I correct, Foster? When in New York both times?
At least once. Did we beat them twice? We might have beat them twice.
I thought it was twice.
I know they popped us in Detroit, but yeah, we might have won we might have won 2 in a row in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah. And they're not a team that I fear, you know what I'm saying, is as far as a player. I'm scared versus Boston. I'm scared facing Cleveland in a 7 best of 4 series. I'm scared of Milwaukee and Indiana. We just haven't been consistent versus them. And maybe it's the matchups. I don't know, but versus the Knicks, I'm very confident versus them. Very confident. And did you watch any of the stuff from last night? The young.
Yeah, I watched the G League, which is Asar and Amen against it was the G League versus, because I think they're I don't know how they
stars or whatever.
Yeah, the upcoming star. Yeah. So yeah, I saw some of that.
I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. I gave up on All-Star Weekend about 6 years ago, bro.
Yeah, it's not. Honestly, for me, in pretty much all the All-Star games, I can't wait for the real games to come back. It's a drag, especially because they get an extra couple days between all the competitions and getting back to actual play. Like I totally can't wait for the games to get back going.
It's the All-Star game itself is boys club basketball. That's what it is. No offense to the boys club, but I'm just saying it's like they're throwing the ball down court and half the players ain't even running past half court. They're waiting to see what happens. And it's usually a dunk or a 3-point shot.
I do like how, like because there was a little bit of a tournament in the Rising Stars competition between the G League players and the Rising, whatever. I forget how they broke them down, but I mean, there's a bit of competition to that where you're trying to play on whoever won the competition yesterday gets to play on Sunday against the actual All-Star. So it's something it's a little bit of a chip on your shoulders. You're going against the real All-Stars and you get an opportunity to test yourself against the highest talent. So it does create a little bit more of a competitive atmosphere and a little bit more defense. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of 3-point shooting, a lot of letting them get the dunk off, and the aim is to get back into the regular season healthy and not hurting anybody. So I get that too.
Yeah, it's just I'm just happy this is going on this season as opposed to what last. Foster, I was gonna quit We weren't gonna do no post game podcast if we'd had another.
Dang, that's crazy.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll talk some more Pistons basketball. If you're listening, you're going to hear some wonderful ads. If you're watching, we'll be back in like 15, 20 seconds. All right. It might have been longer than 10, 15 seconds. I don't know. It was a break though. I need a break. Me and Foster, there's bills to pay. So we have these ads that we have to run during the audio session instead of just standing here looking crazy, taking a break. We have a little intermission video, something that, so you guys don't have to sit there and look at us not say nothing for 10, 15 seconds. That's what that is. So yeah, I can't watch the NBA All-Star. I mean, I might watch it because Cade's in it, this year. I might watch it. That's tomorrow, right? Yeah, I might watch.
Yeah, he's the 3-point contest tonight though.
And see, I might watch that because Cade's in it. But usually, now I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hold you. I will watch the 3-point contest no matter who's in it, though. I will watch that. But the dunk contest have been mid. Every now and then you have some great dunks and some great participants. But, they've been mid lately. I can't believe we went all these years with a LeBron-less dunk contest. You know what I'm saying? Like
Never bossed up.
Never bossed up. Never. I mean, even in his younger years, just wouldn't participate. And I kind of get it because a lot of these people just want to relax, right? But would have been nice. Would have been nice. I think he'd have won one, at least one. At least one.
All the greats do them, but hey, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Kobe, Jordan, Dominique Wilkins,
Julius Erving,
Vince Carter,
Julius.
I mean, I remember there was one with Stevie Franchise in it, and he was.
Oh man, yeah, that was a great one.
Him and Tracy McGrady they were amazing. That one. I think Vince wound up winning that one, but yeah, that one was really good. But they haven't been that good lately. So I don't really care for the dunk contest like I used to. But if there was a Piston involved, then I probably would watch it. Probably
Levine was a great dunker for a while. I mean, he's still a good dunker, but this was back when he wasn't even known to be as good of a scorer as he was. He was, but
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. And then I'm definitely gonna watch it because Cade now. I usually don't pay attention to it. And do you know when the actual games resume? Is it like Wednesday or?
Well, I'll tell you when the Pistons resume.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't care about nobody else.
Next Friday. Jeez.
A long damn time.
Bro, we got a whole week. And mind you, the game is on Sunday. That's wild. Now like I said, the Pistons return on Friday. Hopefully the NBA comes back Thursday.
They might not be back till Thursday. I doubt if the Pistons the only one that gets that kind of a break.
Right. So
I guess it depends on who played last. Tuesday, right?
Wednesday. So Wednesday, there's one game at 10 o'clock that the Hornets and Lakers, which is an interesting dynamic with them having that failed trade. But anywho, and then a pretty full slate. Yeah, pretty much a full slate on Thursday. But the Pistons don't play. And then Friday, probably every team. Because I feel like every team plays on Friday, right? So you get Fridays off? Maybe sometimes you do, but most teams play on Friday.
Yeah.
In general. So
I'm just mad. Well, are you off from work Monday? This is kind of off subject.
No.
Okay. Because Monday is President's Day. And I was thinking maybe, just maybe, there'll be something to watch Monday. But the All-Star game Sunday, so they wouldn't resume the next day.
No, of course not.
However, you know what I'm saying? I figured we get a show in on Monday. We have the NFC, not NFC. We had the Central Division Showdown on Monday. And then I was figuring shortly after that we have a game like maybe on Tuesday and Wednesday, but the Pistons do not play till Friday, which is a good break for those guys.
Great break for those that get an opportunity to relax, get some work in, maybe go on vacation.
Mhm.
I almost hate that we had to take a break because we were on such a roll, and we can, and we'll. I definitely want to get to that, but this team has been on fire.
Let's get to that because what I want to say is the Pistons go into this All-Star break winning the last 4 games. So that was for this week, right? Because me and Foster do this show on Monday nights with the Central, and it's usually 3 or 4 games after that show, and we predict what our record would be like. And I don't think we've yet to say we're going to go undefeated this week. And this week, we've gone undefeated prior to the All-Star break. So how you want to attack this, Foster? How you want to talk about this going into the break?
So I want to, well, first and foremost, I want to give everybody just a layout of where we are at right now. We are 29-26, which is good for 6th in the division. We're 1 full game behind Milwaukee. Like you said, we're on a 4-game winning streak, and we've won 6. We're 6-4 in our last 10 games. To get in more detail about the 4 games that we have won in a row, we have won by a total of 18, 40, 10, and 13, which is good for an average of 20 points per game.
Let me interject real quick. I don't mean to cut your wisdom.
No, yeah, go ahead.
2 out of those games that we lost were buzzer beaters, but go ahead.
Right. Oh, great point. That too. Those were very, very winnable games. And the team that we beat by the least amount of points was the Hornets, and we were we pretty much nearly pissed that game away. But
you remember when I inboxed you, like, they're pissing me off.
Yes. I was there. So like, what's going on? But yeah, it's to say the very least, it's been a dominant performance. Certainly that 40-point win against the Chicago Bulls, and then to come back and to beat them by 18, which is a blowout in itself. But in relation, it was only half of the point, more than half the points that less than half the points that we beat them by the night before, but it's still a blowout nonetheless. So we've looked good. Three of the 4 games Schroeder has been a participant in. So I feel like that's been a good opportunity for him to get acclimated, get some good minutes. And I think that he's done a pretty serviceable job. He hasn't shot well. He hasn't shot great from the field.
No.
He's shot a total of 5 for 19 from the field. But 3 for 8 from 3. He's hit some big threes. He's hit a few timely threes throughout the little 4-game stretch or 3-game stretch that he's played. But I think that all in all, he has kind of settled that second unit. He's already got acquired chemistry because he goes way back with Malik Beasley. They actually played together in LA for a little stint for one of their, one of those runs where Lakers were trying to compile a role playing unit to get a championship. But yeah, I think that he's fitting right in. I think that he's going to get more comfortable offensively, but I think it's going to take some time for him to get comfortable. But he's pretty much been the He's pretty much been everything that we've expected and seen from him for the last 12 years. So looking good so far.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's man, it's it's crazy, man. I'm just I'm at a loss for words, bro, because the people are gonna look at me and say, "Hey, you you're sixth, you're 29 and 26."
Above
The hell?
500, you know.
And people are gonna say, hey, you're happy because you're above 500. Yes, I am very happy we're above 500. And you looked at teams like Milwaukee and Indiana as being elite teams in the East, or very good teams to say the least. We're one game behind Milwaukee. How many games are we behind Indiana?
Let's see.
Like maybe 3 at the most.
Probably not too far behind.
Can't be that far
So
behind.
Indiana we're 2 games out.
We're right there in the mix. We are a couple of games of moving up to the 4th position.
And we have more we've played more games than Indiana as of right now. We have 29 wins and they have 30 wins, but they only have 3 they have 3 less losses, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah. Yeah, we have right now in the entire Eastern Conference, we have tied for the most wins in a row with Cleveland. Milwaukee's on a 1-game win streak, Indiana's on a 1-game win streak, Boston's on a 3, and the Knicks are on a 2. So it's just the Pistons and Cleveland have the highest win streak total right now.
Yeah, and for this current win streak, there's several reasons why this current win streak is what it is. 1 is Cade. 2 is Arthur Thompson. 3 is Malik Beasley. And 4 is Duren. Like, they have played outstanding. This has probably been the best 4-stretch game, not from Cade, because Cade's been doing it all year, but for those other 3 that I mentioned, that has probably been the best stretch of basketball that they've played this year. Malik Beasley stepped up in a game where where Cade didn't play, and he started, and he had 36. And I believe that was wasn't that versus Philly?
Yeah, that was versus Philly on ESPN in a game
all of their
that
players.
Yes, yeah, Paul George, Maxey, and Embiid were all playing, and yeah, and at halftime, because they kind of
29. It was up 29. Half.
yeah, that was mind blowing, and that was huge. I mean, you look at the next 3 games after that with the Charlotte, and then the 2 games against the Bulls, and the way we handled them. I knew that a win on national television without Cade Cunningham was going to be a shot in the arm in the team. And as you can see, we said, oh, well, we're just going to go out and blow Chicago out in the United Center by 40 points. Like,
now, it wasn't a huge victory point-wise versus Philly, but we were up 68-39 at half, and they didn't get any closer. I think it was 8 points was the closest they got in the 4th quarter. But after it got to 8, it didn't get any closer.
Yeah.
And made some plays down the stretch. And I think we won by 12, I believe, maybe 10.
13.
But still, we dominated that game without Cade. And you had Malik Beasley, who couldn't miss. And he couldn't miss in the first half. And you saw it against the Bulls in both games. He come off the bench. His first few touches, they're not hitting. It's not hitting the rim at all. It's all net, bottom. And he's knowing it when he lets it go.
Yep. And now he's the Pistons all-time 3-point total for a season leader right now, and counting, because he's still got 20-some games, 30-some games left.
27 games left.
Shout out to Sadiq Bey, who was the last.
He was on that list twice. He was at number 2. He was the leader at 211.
Yeah.
And he was around, I want to say around 190 or 180, somewhere in between there, for
Yeah,
like
he's
third,
also
fourth
the
place.
rookie leader as well,
Yeah. So
for
he,
three-point.
yeah. So, but this is it's a very interesting thing you brought up because I made a post and I know you saw it on Facebook where I said, "Is this impressive for him to have 212 3-pointers with 50 something with 20 something games left?" I think he got the record at 54 games.
Mhm.
So, with 28 games left at that time, wasn't impressive. And I got a bunch of mixed reviews. And I want to ask you, Foster, is it impressive to you for him to eclipse the franchise record for threes in a season
Yeah,
uh,
it's
with 20 something games left?
Yeah, because we all know he's going to continue. He's a very durable player. I don't think he's missed a single game this year. Knock on wood, but yeah, he's got a lot of work left to do. He shoots a high volume, and he's going to definitely make a lot more threes. The only way I can see that people could think that it's not that big of a deal is the fact that the game has changed. Obviously,
Very
you
good
know,
point.
yeah, we've take a lot more players take a lot more threes nowadays than they did back for the rest of the Pistons, history. But now that we're in that era, it's gonna be a lot for somebody to try to surpass that because now that everybody takes high volume threes, it's not like you're going to see somebody break it next year. I mean, if anybody, it'll be him breaking his own record. So yeah, it's still very impressive because just because you take a lot of threes also doesn't mean that you make a lot of threes because it's technically not a very high percentage shot. So yeah, you still got to make it for for it to mean something. I mean, he's also shooting. First of all, he's doing this off the bench. Let's not forget about that factor. He plays
Yeah.
good minutes, but he's not a starter. He's only started a handful of games when Cade or when Ivy was hurt. Um,
Well, when you're off the bench, typically you don't get starters minutes. You just don't.
right. Typically, you don't. Yeah, it kind of depends on whether you're finishing games, because you're certainly not uh, starting them. But um, But yeah, he's gonna build. He's probably gonna hit another what 673. I don't know. I don't know
You,
where
what, what,
how many he's
well,
hit already.
with 27 games left, I'm willing to predict he might hit 100 more.
Yeah, 100 sounded crazy, but when you consider he's already hit 100 plus, right? How many has he hit this year?
212, 216.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane. Yeah, so he could
Because
easily.
he had 4 the last game, and he had
Right.
broke the record at 212. So he had to be about 216 or maybe 217. I think he hit 4 or 5. But yeah, I
But
was
yeah.
afraid him after breaking the record, he'd come out cold the second night versus the Bulls, and he hit 3 or 4 in that game. The first time he touched it, he top of the key, whap. Got it right back, second whap. I was like, oh, he's feeling it.
Yeah. But the work ethic is there. Like, this is a guy that hits 100 before, like not in pregame. We talking about like early in the morning, the day of a game. So I mean, it just goes to show that when you put that work in, the results are gonna come.
Yeah. Shout out to my homie Prime, man. Our homie Prime. Prime had a comment on my post, and he said it just shows you how whack Chauncey Billups was for not hitting that many threes. Now I'm gonna tell you. Now, I I understand where he's coming from, but he's very, very wrong, right? 82 games in a season, right? And let's say you hit that's for 82 games in a season and the record to be 211. That means somebody's you're hitting a little under 3 3-pointers a game, right?
Right.
But you have to understand the evolution of the game. That's why I say it's a great point that you brought up. 2004, when Chauncey was probably hitting a lot of threes in that championship season, he didn't have to take as many as he did as they do
Listen,
now.
the Pistons were averaging probably like 98 points a game. Like nowadays, everybody's cracking over. Like we hit the 2 Bulls games, we scored 130 plus points in those games.
And that Pistons team thrived on defense.
Yes.
There was a lot of points in transition. There were a lot of sets that were ran. Rip Hamilton would run around 3 or 4 pick setup, and he was mid-range.
Mhm.
You had to feed Rashid. Rashid was getting the ball in the post or right outside the post. He wasn't shooting a ton of threes. Chauncey he wasn't the lightning fast guard, but he was one that take you off the dribble.
Yeah, he was getting downhill. He was bullying you because he was one of the bigger, stronger guards in the league.
And he was a distribute first type of point guard. He wasn't trying to, these point guards now are score first. These shooting guards, they're out there to shoot. And to have an expectation for a point guard in 2004 to shoot like like Curry is crazy. You know what I'm saying? That just wasn't that type of game for a point guard in 2004 for you to jack 6 or 7 threes up a game. You know what I'm saying? And you certainly wasn't going to do that under Larry Brown. You was not going to be that person. So it is what it is. That record to me is very impressive, especially with 28 games at the time to go. And I think he's going to put that record very, very, it's not going to be easy to beat. It's not going to be easy to beat. So, and I think the only person that's going to eclipse that record from the Pistons anytime soon will be Malik. And I hope, and I'm saying this with hopes, that they give that man an extension soon. He wants to be here. He's productive. No, he's not a bargaining chip. He's a Piston. Get that man an extended contract. Lock him in for the next 4 years. Pay that man. Pay. That's all you got to do. Pay. You got money under the cap. I think this team bodes well going forward with your starting 5 of Cade, Oscar Thompson, Ivy.
Hardaway.
I'm about next year. Next year. Going forward. Ivy, whoever you have it for, Duran, and Malik Beasley being your 6th man. I think that 6th man role for him, and they should be mentioning him in 6th man of the year.
I have not heard that a lot.
I haven't heard it. He has to be in that conversation, though.
Yeah, I agree.
You have to look at it. He has to be in consideration for 6th man of the year. The way he's played, and part of the job of a 6th man is to be that person that starts when one of the starters is out. And you see what happens when Cade sat down. He come in. I know it was just one game, but he came in, no problem. I just shoot the lights out the ball. And I think he would do that if called upon at any given time. Not scoring 36, but he'd be very effective if he had to start. He's not just one of those players that's playing well because he's playing against second units. No, that's not the case with this guy.
All right, so I'm gonna give you the odds for the top, the top candidates of the 6th man of the year going.
This is why you're my co-host. This is why you on the set doing the homework. Let's get to it.
All right, the number 1 odds right now, Peyton Pritchard from the Boston Celtics. Fair enough. That's a name I've heard.
I have no argument with him winning if he wins.
Right. DeAndre Hunter. Most of
no argument with that, but I think he's going to start now for Atlanta. For Cleveland. But go ahead.
Right. Malik Beasley is number 3.
Okay, as long as he's in the conversation.
Naz Reid. And a name that I didn't expect to see, Amen Thompson. He is the 6th man over in Houston. I guess he doesn't start that much.
He averaging 14 a game though.
He is. I don't know if he's been averaging 14 a game this year, but yeah, or like for the total of the year. But I know in the last month they showed the comparison stats, and
That's
the
where I got
two.
that stat from, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's just December, but
Okay.
I could be wrong. Let me see. We can look that up too. He is averaging 13.7. So yeah, he's held he's held steady at that 14. I know Asar has averaged 14 in his in the last month, but he's not averaging 14 a game as of yet. Probably more around 9, 10. But so yeah, so Amin Thompson is also in the 6-man talks. Let's see what Asar is averaging. Yeah, 9.3 for the year. But that kind of transitions into what do we need to take a break or anything before we get into this
No,
last?
we good. We good. No more breaks.
So yeah, the I think that in order for the Pistons to kind of ascend and get to that next level, I think there's two main players that if they can really get it figured out, I think that we can really, really be a problem, not just next year and years forward, but right now. And that's Asar Thompson and Jalen Duren. I want to give you a stat about Jalen Duren's last 4 games. We've
Okay.
seen him. We've seen him be more aggressive. We've seen him, showcase some skills that we don't necessarily think about when we think of him. But in his last 4 games, he's had 7 assists, 6 assists, 5 assists, 5 assists. This is your center. This is your drop big that pretty much scores out of the dunker spot. But he is averaging about what was that, 5.5 assists, you would say? 7, 6, 5, and 5. We'll say 5.5, 6 assists in his last 4 games. We've seen, I've seen a nice little 2-man game between him and Asar Thompson, throwing lobs and all type of stuff out of Duren. If he can incorporate that part to his game on a consistent level, that's going to take off some of that pressure that we think about when we think of Cade and having to be the guy that creates and facilitates on that starting unit. Because we know that Duren is dangerous out of that dunker spot when he's being aggressive, and when Cade can get him to that, can get him an alley-oop or 2 in transition. But if he starts averaging 5, 6 assists a game, like, that's gonna really make this team tough to go against. But as far as Asar, I feel like in the Bulls games, the first to start the game, he immediately went at his targeted. I think it was Josh Giddey one time, and I think it was Buzelis in one game. But he's really just embodying that alpha, like this dude is too small, too weak, like muscling and bodying him and putting him under the rim. Like, he's really starting to display that raw athleticism that we knew he had coming out of college. I mean, coming out of the G League.
Did you see his dunk last night?
With that 2-handed where he just like it's like he's got another muscle. He's got more muscles in his calf than the average, because he's playing against peak athletic talent, and he's just a head and shoulders above them in that regard. So
I think he understands now.
Have you seen Lethal Shooter? The his little now I understand, or now I get it, or whatever it is.
I think he understands get to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not a great shooter, outside shooter, and you have the ability to get to the rim, get to it. It's been dunk fest. Him, Duren, it's been dunk fest. Like, they're getting lobs. When Oscar Thompson gets a step and he gets to the glass, he's going straight to the rim. He's dunking. Yeah. And I've seen lately, he's getting that call. He's getting the calls that I wish Cade would get.
Ain't that a bitch?
He's getting. They don't call. They don't blow the whistle a lot for Cade. Now that dunk that Cade had, where he switched hands. Hey, you know what? And I said, I never looked at Cade as being the most athletic guy. I just thought, well, he's kind of like that.
He's not. He's.
I might have to second get give him a closer look, because that dunk where he switched hands through contact, that was impressive.
That was a
strong dunk.
That was good. That was good.
Like it wasn't.
He wasn't in the air when he did it, but just the whole
finish,
maneuver. To
finish
left hand.
And
left hand is tough.
Do you think I think he had to switch hands to make that work?
Yeah, I mean, Buzelis is because it was up against Buzelis. It gave him that extra little bit of a, Yeah.
What up, MSU Detroit fan says we needed a second scorer with Ivy being out. Look like Foster took that job. Now, Foster, this is what I'm talking about, right? I'm glad MSU Detroit fan brought that up. Going forward, I know we got the rest of the season to play, but I'm just talking about for the future. Cade, Ivy, Arsan Thompson's at your 3. During at your 5, and you got to figure out that 4. You know what I'm saying? I think you can, even at worst, you got Tobias Harris at the 4, which is he's been playing decent at play.
Yeah, he had a bad little
he had a run where he was like, trade deadline's coming up. He's expendable. But
his last 5,
pretty good.
He's held steady at about 20 points a game, 22, 20, 18, 19, and then efficient shooting as well. I think he's definitely found his groove. He always plays well against Philly, of course. That's standard.
he keeps that pace, and he's going to be your 4 next year. If he keeps this pace up, he's going to be your 4 next year, and you got a nice starting 5 with the way Arthur Thompson plays and the way Cade been playing. All we have to do is get production out of Ivy. If he can be anywhere where we need him to be, this team could look scary in the East in the years to come.
Yeah, I think that Tobias would be a good bridge development guy for whoever the predecessor would be, whether it's Ron Holland, Asar Thompson could maybe move down to the 4, and Bobby Klintman. Don't forget about the fact that Bobby Klintman is
well, I'm not depending on him, man.
No, not depending on him, but eventually because he's definitely, we knew coming out of college that he was raw, but I think the talent is still there, and he's got promise, and he's got a lot of guys in front of him that he can take guidance from at this point. So even like a Cade, I mean, he is a 6'10" guy that was one of our better passers in the summer league. So I think that he can definitely take some pages out of Cade's book, who's now a veteran on the team.
That's crazy.
Isn't it crazy to think?
That's crazy.
And he's young, but he's 3 years in. Well, this is his 4th year, right?
4th year.
This is now his 4th year, and he's an all-star now. He is a vet at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're in good hands going forward. I'm ready for this. Excuse me. I'm ready for Arthur Thompson. I think he's one of the most promising young specimens we have on the team. Like he's showing me what I thought from the beginning. Like we really needed him at the beginning of the season. And once he was able to play, he's gotten better every single game. Every single game. MSU Detroit fan says, this year I'm open to letting Bobby be a 2-way guy along with Jenkins. I think what we need to do going forward, though, I don't want to go too far ahead because we still got plenty of basketball left. But going forward, is we need to develop uh, some depth because I think our starting five can get the job done and be competitive in the Eastern Conference right now. I think when you have Cade and you have these young players and you uh, this and Beasley off the bench, and you get a couple more supporting cast, and you good, man. And you're going to be, and we're going to be all right. I think Duran, if he continues to get better, it's going to be a problem. Not only just the Pistons are going to be good, I think we're going to be a problem if these young specimens get better, and they have room to get better. They're not elite. They have room to get better. They're going to get better. They're not at their they're not at their peak. I think they're trending the right way though. They are trending the right way. So you want to put a bow on this before we get out of here, Foster?
Well, I just want to say that we definitely have a tough road ahead at post
Oh
All-Star
boy,
break.
do
So
we?
yeah, the next 5 games are the Spurs.
Mm.
But you got this is Wemby Spurs. This is
Mhm.
Chris Paul, De'Aaron Fox Spurs, Devin
Yeah.
Vassell. So this is a pretty talented team.
Stephen Castle.
Castle,
Castle
Castle,
been balling.
MVP of the game yesterday.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a very talented Spurs team. We got the Hawks. The Hawks are always tough.
They're pain.
Um, we got the LA Clippers. I think that's our next home game, actually. We got Boston, and then we have the Boston,
Mm,
enough said. And then we got
yeah.
the Denver Nuggets is the one team that beat us on that last West Coast trip was the Nuggets. So, and they are on a nice we talked about them a little bit on Monday. I think they were on like a 5 or 6 game winning
Yeah. They're
streak.
starting to heat up some.
Um, yeah. So yeah, that's the next 5 games. And yeah, so yeah, I feel like we kind of took a break when we were probably at our hottest point of the year. I mean, certainly when you went 4 in a row and you average altogether 20 points per game. I mean, it isn't getting much more hotter than that. But this was a good opportunity for us to get some rest and to showcase some of our young talents, such as Asar Thompson and Cade Cunningham. So that should do wonders for their confidence. But we'll see. We'll see where we're at after that nice little swing of games. But we're in a good spot. We are in a playoff position to where we would not have to play, play a team on a play in, but we want to start building some of that cushion, so that's not a concern for us. We want to solidify a a a true playoff position, and we are only 1 game from behind Milwaukee and 2 games behind Indiana. So if we can continue, and that's about as close as we're going to get as far as obtaining, you know, not gonna catch New York. We're not gonna catch Boston or Cleveland. So
No.
yes,
Not catching Cleveland at all.
definitely not catching Cleveland. But But yeah, if nothing else, I think that we want to put our best foot forward against some of these Eastern Conference teams like Atlanta and Boston coming up. Those are important games that directly affect our standing. Um, so yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, I want to mention though, make sure you subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube. We are nearing 250 subscribers, and the goal was 300 by the end of the month. We've been sitting in the 200 spot. Uh, the way to get more subscribers, if you haven't subscribed already, of course, subscribe and share, like, and comment on the material. That helps with the algorithm. More eyes will see it, and therefore we can get more subscribers. Tell a friend about what we do if you enjoy what we're doing, or if you don't enjoy what we're doing, tell them about it. Maybe they can comment and help us out so we can improve. I mean, I'm all for it, right? But make sure you subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers. Me and Foster will probably be back on Monday. Well, not probably. We'll be back Monday night to do the Central Division Showdown. It seems like when the Pistons win, though, they don't want to talk to us as much. I mean, not Tate. Tate's sitting. He's sitting pretty. He's a Cleveland fan, so he has no reason to shade. But we haven't had shows when we go on this winning streak and stuff like that. So, it would be nice to be able to host a show when we do so well. Last week we hosted, so there'll be somebody, but that's not going to stop me from talking about Pistons basketball this Monday. So make sure you subscribe. More than likely we'll be able to stream at the same time, even though we're not hosting. We'll see how that goes. But Foster, you have a good weekend. It's snowing still. I think I don't. Yeah, I think
it might have stopped.
It might have stopped. I have to go shovel. So, MSU Detroit fan says, so Pistons' first game post break is against the Spurs on the road. What y'all thinking about that? It's a tough game.
That's gonna be a tough Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, Chris Paul, Devin Vassell, Stephon Castle. That is a nice little nucleus right there.
Yeah, and I think one thing about when you're hot and you get a break, it kind of could break up your rhythm. So we'll see. We'll see. I think that's a tough game, and I think that game will be kind of telling of how the rest of the week would go. Now, I want to say season, but that's the first game back Friday. I will be tuned in, and we'll probably do a show Friday night. Who knows? But definitely tune in. Check us out at Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube, and you can check out Foster got some player profiles he's going to put up there next week. I got a player profile. I do the old school edition. Foster does the new school edition, whether they're Pistons or Lions players. Well, definitely, we got to start doing baseball as too, Foster. We'll start doing baseball player profiles as well. MSU Detroit fan says Pistons first few is very tough at Spurs, at Hawks, Clippers, Celtics, Nuggets. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. We'll be back to talk about that record after the first 5 games. That's very good to watch. We'll talk about how we fared in those last 5 games. I think we'll be at least 3-2. We'll see. Subscribe to Bleachers to Speakers on YouTube.